What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's finally time to throw a turbo on this, on my E36 on the drift car. This video is going to be a series. This project is going to be the next couple videos. I'm going to try and break it up, and then at the end, kind of do like a, synopsis of all the initial work. So basically today in this video, I'm trying to get the turbo manifold installed, get the turbo bolted up, and then see where that puts us in time, and then try and get the downpipe fabbed up. So right off the rip, something you see is missing, the AC. In this case being a top mount, I have it sitting right up there on the crate. Had to delete it. Top mount won't fit, especially with the downpipe trying to go over here. Probably fit if you're doing a hood exit, but I'm not that kind of guy. So do that, and then obviously pull the exhaust off, pull the headers off. We're building a new exhaust. And then we are, I don't know if it's absolutely necessary in case of fitment, but I'm going to be cutting out this section here just for some heat management more than anything. And then also I want to run the wastegate this way, because where the wastegate's placed on this manifold, this is a Jackspania manifold, so kind of testing my luck with this thing. Thankfully, it seems to be of pretty decent quality, but obviously turbo here, wastegate here. Can't really loop it back anywhere to recirculate it. I don't really want to go down with it because it's just kind of So I think I'm going to try and shoot it out the fender over here and ruin my nice new wrap job. But let's just kind of jump into this thing, get this thing racked up, and get the header off and bolt the turbo manifold up. Something else I want to point out really quick is the wastegate flange on this manifold is for a 44 mil. I have a 45 mil pulsar to go with my pulsar turbo. So in the sake, just for being quick and easy about this, I'm just going to weld the new flange on just like that, because there is no room up there to try and chop this off efficiently and weld it on. So I'm going to just take the hack way out because it's, it's fine. It is what it is. I'm going to go ahead. We're going to weld this on there because the firing ring fits here, but it does not fit in there. So that's the only initial modification. Thankfully, with the pulsar turbo I got, it came with this T4 to V-band adapter, since the turbo is a V-band inlet. So this is all going to be situated. Just got to snug these bolts down really quick because they're just hand tight. But a little side note, we just noticed that the flange on here isn't, just a 44 mil. The issue is the firing ring, even on this 44 mil tile that I have here from a customer's car, is still the same diameter as the firing ring with my pulsar, which is a 45 mil. So I believe this manifold was just manufactured or jigged up after just an eBay tile style and not a true name brand one. So if you decide to buy this Jackspania one, know that you're gonna have issues with it. So you're gonna have to find somebody like me that can chop it off and weld it on for you. So got one, got to take this other V-band off really quick, and then the exhaust can come off with just two more hangers that, three more hangers. So let's go ahead and get that knocked out.
Both of them?
Doesn't matter. I guess.
Moving the bar.
There we go.
Oh god, these O2s!
They're... Oh, it's on the...
Unplug them first.
No, I did. They're just on the clampy boy. And this one. There we go.
Neat.
So much space. I'm gonna go ahead and pull the AC compressor off too here in a few minutes. First things first, I'm gonna go ahead and weld this V-band onto the manifold though. All right, so while I'm waiting on this flange to cool so I can take it off without, you know, worrying so much about it warping, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm changing the spring on the wastegate right off the bat. I looked in their manual here because somebody had mentioned they come pretty high, and the one that was pre-installed was this big blue one, which according to their instructions here says that is a 14-pound spring, which I don't want the 14-pound, I want the 7-pound because we're trying to keep it under 350, and with that M50 manifold and a good tune, hopefully that should be pretty attainable. And I'll be running a boost controller and stuff anyway, so I just wanted to be on the safe side, so that way if we have overboost issues for some reason, we're not pushing, you know, 14 plus PSI, we'll be pushing a little over 7. So got the ring, I already changed the spring, just showing you guys for visual. So there is ridges in here like 1, 2, 3 and such, and same with the cap. So very nicely machined, has this ring, and it comes with the tool for it. So yeah, I'm gonna just compress this back, bolt it back up, and then finish this weld, and we will try and get this thing installed. I know it's gonna be a bear trying to get some of these lower bolts, but hopefully it's not too bad. All right, got the flange welded on to the flange. Let's bolt this thing up. I also just finished ripping out the AC stuff because it was really easy to get to right here. So now we have plenty of space over here for the wastegate and the dump and stuff. So let's have some fun. There we go. Definitely a tight fit. Oh, looks like I might have to cut, yeah, I'm gonna have to cut this this stuff out before I can even bolt this up. That's so freaking close. So this is just a loose mock-up, and I can already tell I'm gonna have to cut this section out regardless. And honestly, I'm gonna test with the turbo, but I might have to chop back here and re-clock it just a little bit. Only one way to find out, I'm gonna put a nut on each end, trying to hold the manifold in place a bit and mock up the turbo. All right, initial mock-up. I can already tell it's gonna be super duper tight, but. All right, so that is the clearance that we're looking at all the way around. That's extremely tight. So I initially thought I was gonna be chopping out the wheel arch just for some heat ventilation, but now I'm chopping it out of necessity. Obviously the exhaust port is gonna have to get, I don't know, I'm gonna have to try and rotate this just enough to get the exhaust to shoot around the shock tower. And then I did buy a 90-degree weld elbow from Vibrant to weld onto the end of the compressor here. That way I can, you know, face it where I need it to go. I might have to go buy another one though. I might have to do like a 120-degree bend with how much I may have to kind of rotate this to get around the shock tower. So the other downside is what I'm seeing, is I've seen a lot of people relocate the reservoirs here, and I thought it was simply just because people didn't want to heat soak it. It's out of necessity. This does not fit. So even if I hadn't welded the flange on the flange, that's only about 1/4 inch, and that would have still made the top of the housing here touch it, and this still gets extremely hot. Granted, I have a wastegate blanket from Funk Motorsports, and it'll help, but that only sits around this section, not the top hat. So I'm gonna have to end up doing some funky stuff. Probably extend the wires on my sensor and trim the hoses up, and then make my own mounting bracket on the driver's side and relocate this reservoir. I would do the Euro spec style one that bolts up here, but that's exactly where my downpipe has to go. So yeah, turbo and E36. Bottom mount stuff is probably a bit more bolt on. Top mount is definitely the cooler way, but the a lot more fab way. So I guess I'm gonna just kind of mark out where I need to cut, because there is a brake line down here you kind of got to watch out for. So with the brake line, you know, bearing in mind, I'm probably just going to drill through so I know where to stay away from, and then just make my cuts. But yeah, the manifold's a bit of a bear to get in there, but I'm more worried about how the hell I'm going to get all the hardware tightened, to be honest. So test fitting, right now, I got, obviously like you saw, got this cut out. Everything fits pretty good. We got it clocked to where the downpipe piece is just barely not touching the tower. Super tight, but that's kind of what we want, keep it away from the valve cover. But yeah, right now we're just clocking the center housing. Thankfully, this whole turbo is like all V-bands, so it's super easy to do. Center housing V-band is this guy. V-band to actually mount it is down here. Right there, and then your normal 13 mils to, you know, loosen the clamp on the housing. But yeah, so ideally this is kind of gonna be how it runs, and then I'll weld a weld L down here, kick it down whichever way I need it to go. I'm just trying to mock up the drain. I don't have the material to make the drain, but I'm trying to mock up the, you know, the run for the drain. Since we got the bung, pan on the bung.
Just trying to think ahead.
Yeah, bung on the pan, I should say, down there. But yeah, trying to plan ahead for this stuff. Water lines, I bought the Rally Road kit, so that should be fine. If anything, it'll be a bit excess. But yeah, the only other thing to worry about is the wastegate clearing this reservoir. So we'll worry about that in probably a separate video. Right now, we're kind of just plugging away. So it's becoming way more obvious just how much work this turbo kit's gonna be, which is fine. That's what I anticipated. But I was, you know, my naive side was hoping for a bit of an easier fit. So far what I've gathered, at least just to get the turbo and the wastegate situated, we have this clocked. We're gonna try and make ourselves a hard line. I just gotta order some 5/8 or 5/16, whatever, hard line. And then obviously modify the compressor housing here. Got this clocked to where the downpipe with the 90 can fit just over there. So the next thing I have to figure out is the wastegate. So again, I'm gonna try and move the reservoir somewhere in this area. And zip tie it to something, make a bracket for it. I'll figure that part out. Other than that, that's more or less it. The oil feed line, I do have the Rally Road kit, or the Seems Legit Garage. Yeah, Seems Legit Garage. So that'll just come off the Vanos line, which mine's pretty leaky, but I have a new OEM one to go on once I do that. But yeah, so just getting the turbo situated. I'm pretty happy with it now. So I'm going to pull the turbo off. I'm going to finish putting all the hardware in on the manifold, because I don't believe I have to have that, anymore, off and on. And then just while the turbo's off really quick, I'm going to just clean the shock tower up, throw some gold tape here, since I know I will need to do that now while the turbo's off. And then that's pretty much it. I'm going to finish trimming out more of right here, just this little triangle here, because that's where I want the hard line to run. Is my drain is up here, so we're going to kind of bring it right back down here, and then do a slight bend under the wastegate, and then from under the wastegate we can kick it down over that way to get to my drain bung, which obviously is more in this area. Gonna be a lot of work, but it's gonna be such a cool thing once it's all done. I mean, just look at how good that's already looking. I started bolting up the manifold, some of them up top super hard, like you can kind of see them pretty good, but then I tried going under and it is way easier going underneath. So right here, especially with the AC compressor out of the way, you can reach your hand right up in there just fine. And then the rest of them, you can get up here really nicely. I mean, granted, tightening them all down efficiently is gonna be tricky, but at least accessing them, there's plenty of space up here. So that's really good. So I'm running into a common BMW problem, and that is that the studs are coming out like this. Now with the stock header and even my other headers, it's not an issue. You can kind of just reuse them. But the issue I'm having run into is because the fitment is so stinking tight. The last two bolts, well, now bolts, I cannot get in there because they don't fit. Like I physically cannot get them in there enough. And this is such a special thread pitch. I believe it's M7 by 1.0. Nobody's local is gonna sell that. So this is kind of problematic. You know, we got the turbo mounted, we got the manifold more or less figured out, minus needing some new studs, and we got the intercooler mounted, and we're fitting up pretty nicely. So I'm gonna go ahead and call that a win and wrap this video up here. If you did enjoy it, you know, leave a comment down below. If you're new to the channel, hopefully you want to stick around, hit that subscribe button. And, you know, if you're local, you want to get some fab work done, hit me up at velocityracefab@yahoo.com, or hit me up on Instagram, Facebook, whatever. Yeah, next video, we're going to try and get some of the hot side piping done. Right now, I'm waiting to do the cold side and M50 manifold swap until I get my coolant line kit, since it has to be done while the manifold is off anyway, because it's really the best place to access it. So, yeah, in the next video, I think we're going to try and do the cold side or the hot side piping, and then maybe the down pipe. So, I don't know. We'll figure it out. So, do what you love, forget about the rest. And thanks for spending some time here today. We'll see you in the next one. Peace out.